name is Richa Awasthi, and I am the mayor of Foster City. I am the first female immigrant mayor of Foster City. And if you want to learn more about my background and how I became the mayor, watch me on Yo India TV.
Good evening, everyone. We have a very special guest today on Yo India TV. She is Richa Awasthi. Richa Awasthi is the first Indian woman mayor for the city of Foster City in Bay Area, California. It's an honor and a pleasure to have a wonderful woman like you, an immigrant representing Foster City for the first time ever. Welcome to Yo India TV with me, Jasleen Khanuja. And how's the feel this evening?
Very nice. Thank you for the kind words, Jasleen. It feels great. Actually, it was a wonderful feeling to be part of the community, and so much support, so much encouragement. And I think that's what we should do more of. As you said, I'm a first-generation immigrant. Came here like 22 years ago. Started from the scratch, grew up through entry-level positions, and I'm in the financial services industry. I now serve as Senior Vice President for Zelle payments at US Bank. And to be the mayor of Foster City, first immigrant female mayor of Foster City, it feels great.
Our new mayor, Richa Awasthi. Faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the mayor of the city of Foster City.
On Monday night, Awasthi's colleagues on the city council voted unanimously to appoint mayor, making her the first woman of color to take the ceremonial seat in Foster City's 50-year history. It's a long time coming, considering the city's population is nearly 48% Asian, according to the 2019 U.S. Census.
I know you are an incumbent since 2018, but very few women in fintech think about joining politics. Back in India also we see girls who are from ordinary families, with a non-political background. They are not encouraged by their families to join politics. It is considered one of the dirtiest professions in India, and sometimes in US also we see some nitties and gritties here and there, and not everything is so rosy as it appears. Growing to a powerful position is definitely something which makes everyone proud, and everyone wants to grab power these days. And being an elected representative means people are behind you. You're not just powerful by your own self.
Absolutely.
It is for the people, by the people, of the people, and that is what democracy is all about. So how did you choose to be in this field?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question, and there's so many great comments in that question. I am a politician now, serving at the local level. I'm an elected official, but not a born politician, or I didn't study to be a politician. Like I said, I'm in the fintech space. My journey started by volunteering in my kids' school. Like, they went to public schools, and whenever I saw an opportunity of volunteering, I raised my hand, and one thing led to another. At school, I was part of site council. I chaired site council 2 years in a row. So the second year, nobody else was raising their hand to be the chair, and the principal of the school really needed help. So wherever I saw the opportunity to make a difference, to help people, I raised my hand. And then I took on a new job with Wells Fargo, and I saw a position with the city which was very similar to what I was doing in my day job. And it was an Innovation Technology Advisory Committee. And I was like, it's an hour, probably per month, hour or two per month of giving my time. And I love Foster City. I lived for Foster City for more than 15 years, 16 years at the time. So I thought, it's a nice way to give back, leveraging my skills. So I served as a chair of Innovation Technology Advisory Committee. And after that, there was an open position in the council, and many people asked me to consider running. And the easy answer at the time for me was my kids were younger, and the easy answer was to, my hands are full. But because people asked me, I felt responsible to step up. And so that was the transition, and that's what the intent to use my skills to give back was the real reason. It was not based on that it is the position of power. And I like to think that a leader's position is to serve. It is a real leader is one who is
a servant leader. That's what agile style of leadership is.
Yeah.
And that's in vogue pretty much these days. And I really appreciate that. When it comes to the Desi concentration of population, we always talk about the East Bay. In the Bay Area, we just keep talking about East Bay, and especially Fremont and Sunnyvale, they have been called mini India since many, many years. They have been the hub to the Indian population. Whereas on the western side, on the other side of the San Mateo Bridge, when we go to Foster City, it has lately been housing a couple of Indians, but the population still is very diverse. It's a diverse mix. So talk a little more about what kind of diversity exists in your city and how you were able to garner support of non-Indians as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So Foster City definitely has a growing Asian population overall. And Indian population too. So you can see in ethnic events, as they call them, like Holi celebration. We had Holi celebration, which was attended by those who live in Foster City and also from the neighboring city. So I would say there's a growing Indian population. In terms of support, I'm very dedicated and committed to the role, and I ran as I'm representing everyone. And that was my mantra. And I strongly believe that when you're running an election, there can be a special segment or a group that can be supporting you. But once you are elected, once you're in that position, then your responsibility is to serve everyone. And it's an important aspect to be reminded of all the time in the local governance, that you are making policies and making decisions that will impact everyone. So that will impact every race, every gender, every age group.
Absolutely.
So that's what I keep my focus on. Being an Indian American, I am very excited and very interested in supporting in whichever way possible, and not just the Indian community, but immigrant community of any race, of any.
Yeah, but you don't have that kind of a lawmaking experience. Most of the politicians, when I look at their background, they have studied political science and they have actually obtained a law degree. Some of them even have been prosecutors at the state level, and they have thorough knowledge, understanding, and a good grip on the legal aspects. And therefore when they bring up the bills, SB and all those bills that we see every day being brought up by the state assembly members and other senators and everyone, we see that there is a deep rooted legal background in there, and you have a fintech background. How do you make up for that?
I know, that's a good question. So I had a steep learning curve. So when I ran in 2018, when I talked with people, when I requested for vote and support, I talked a lot about my approach, and I showed them, I demonstrated the work I did. So not only being part of a committee with the city council, with the city, and advising the city council, but I showed my dedication to the role, even during the elections, that, I reached out to various members of the staff and learned about each area, whether it's police, fire, planning department. So I learned about all the basic information. I understood the regional issues. So I studied a lot about the issues facing the community. Some of them I already knew about living in Foster City. Some were more complex and complicated. So I learned about that even at the time of elections. And when I requested support, I presented my approach on the things that I didn't know about. So how would I approach a given situation that will come in front of me? I said that I will understand the issues, ask staff questions, but also listen to the community. So local roles are a lot about decision making, understanding the complexity of the issues, but it's also about hearing from the community what is it that they're looking for.
So give us an example of what was one major issue that you saw in the community. You've been in power since 2018, it's been almost 5 years, and how you have been able to solve it, what new legislation you have brought.
So there are a few examples that I can cite. One of the issues that we dealt with. So just a little bit of background about Foster City. So it's a very safe, beautiful city. It's the envy of several our neighboring cities because it's very well maintained. The level of the streets, our infrastructure, etc. So one of the topics that we kind of dealt with was we have a rec center, and the recreation center. There was a lot of discussion for several years on whether to rebuild the rec center or repair the rec center, because rebuilding would definitely cost a lot of money, more than $50 million or so, roughly speaking. And there were members of the community who wanted the rec center to be repaired, so why spend more money to rebuild it when it can be repaired? So dealing with that topic and understanding what are the challenges in repairing it, but not just understanding it, but being able to present that data and facts to the community and getting their support took time. So when I got elected, the first year that topic was talked about and then was tabled. This year, after I became mayor, I brought that with the support of my colleagues again to the surface, and then we were able to get buy-in to start talking about rebuilding it. So that is one of the projects that I can talk about. One of the aspects that I have been working very hard on focusing on is public-private partnerships. So Foster City is very unique in that we have a very peaceful and calm residential neighborhoods, but we also have large employers like Visa, Gilead, the leader in biotech, and Illumina. So we have a lot of biotech and tech presence. One of the things that I'm advocating a lot for is building relationships, deepening relationships with our employers, so they are part of our community's fabric and we are mutually benefiting each other. So I'm very ambitious on that one. I want Foster City to be the poster child to show the region how public-private partnerships can be done. And we have an opportunity to do that. So I've made strides in kind of reestablishing, reconfirming the relationship with Gilead, and I have several other employers on the list that I'm working towards. Hello Foster City, I am Mayor Richa Awasthi and welcome back to the Mayoral Minute. In this episode, we are celebrating the strategic partnership between the City of Foster City and our most notable local employer, Gilead Sciences. Gilead Sciences and the city have closely collaborated for years and recently reconfirmed that commitment to working together. And to tell you more about these efforts, allow me to introduce Joydeep Ganguly, Senior Vice President of Corporate Operations at Gilead Sciences.
Thank you so much, Mayor Awasthi. At Gilead Sciences, we care deeply about the community and we value deeply the ability to give back to Foster City, the wonderful community we've called home for over 35 years. And that support comes in, advocacy comes in many forms. It comes through affording quality jobs on our campus, it's through our Gilead Foundation, our philanthropic efforts around trying to ensure that educational grants are furthered, but most importantly and most organically and most viscerally in terms of making sure that our employees feel a connection to the city by volunteering in meaningful events across the community. While this is just a tip of the iceberg, we believe that the best is yet to come, and thanks to your leadership, we have begun to look at infrastructure options. We've started to look at sustainability and climate science leadership. And I think the ability for Gilead to not just impact what's better for the community, but also what's great for the overall Foster City ecosystem is there to come.
So, has it ever happened in any point of your career or, as a mayor, when you would have gone ahead in time and you would have seen things or the results of certain decisions being taken or certain steps being made by the city council with a certain kind of a result that was not expected, and then you thought maybe this could have been done in a different way?
Right.
And if such a moment occurred, how do you handle it?
Yeah, initially, when I was relatively new to the council, with any vote or any policy decision, I would analyze that a lot afterwards. And I would be thinking, because it's a big responsibility, which I didn't realize before running, or at the time I was running, that there are impacts after a cast vote a certain way. Majority of the votes, I would say, in Foster City are unanimous. Like all 5 council members are voting. There are some votes where majority wins, like 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, and especially when you are the swing vote, then it really puts a lot of pressure on you to be able to make the right decision. And what I've learned over time is that thinking about any particular policy or issue from all different angles possible is very helpful. I do a lot of homework. I try with different stakeholders and different people with different perspectives to build my own understanding of that issue. And with each of such vote, I have intensified that homework even more. So it takes a lot of time. This is a position that one cannot take lightly. I've never taken it lightly. So I've intensified my homework. The work I do before that vote is so important, because after that, after I do my homework, talk with people with multiple perspectives, and then formulate my own opinion, own position on it, and then being open to going to that council meeting and being open to listening from my colleagues and listening to their public speakers and being open to change my position also has helped me feel very comfortable after the fact. So that's how I try to avoid it.
And that way you feel more confident, and people also feel more confident that the decision has been taken after adequate, in-depth analysis,
Exactly.
Hello Foster City, I'm Mayor Richa Awasthi and welcome back to the Mayoral Minute. In this episode, we are discussing an issue of critical importance to our community's health and quality of life: improving the water quality in our Foster City lagoon. With tests showing elevated levels of bacteria are present in our lagoon, steps are already being taken to address the water quality issues, and regular monitoring is occurring via the city and county to assure these methods are truly effective. The work underway includes circulating water and improving aeration in areas that traditionally test poorly, and potentially treating the lagoon with supplements known to combat bacteria and other contaminants. And while these efforts will continue, the city is also taking a comprehensive approach to addressing the issue through the development of the Lagoon Management Plan. The plan, which will be brought before the City Council on August 15th, will offer an array of options that will be considered to improve lagoon systems' water quality over the long term. Additionally, the city may accelerate the lagoon dredging plan to address the overall health of our lagoon system, including water quality. And a Citizen Sustainability Advisory Committee is being appointed by the City Council, which will focus on updating the Climate Action Plan and other environmental issues.
As you mentioned, you take your time to do that homework, and taking time for each and every decision to be consulted with the different members of the community or your own council, that takes a lot of time. You are also an SVP in US Bank. You have multiple professions to balance. You have a sweet family as well. As we were talking before the interview, you have 2 kids as well. So, multitasking between the family and between 2 great professions in 2 great positions, that's not an easy job.
Yeah.
How do you make it happen?
Yeah, did I tell you I have a superwoman cape in my closet? I just put that on. But realistically speaking, yeah, it is challenging. But this is my 4th year in the council. I've learned about the issues. I've went through a steep learning curve and feel very comfortable about the fundamental understanding of the issues and also how to navigate things to a successful outcome in a collaborative, very open, transparent way. So it has become relatively easier from that standpoint. And my husband is extremely supportive. My kids are in high school, so they are pretty independent. And I always had the drive. I'm very high energy, very action-oriented person. So that helps, but there are days that are super crazy. And at the end of the day, multiple times I kind of felt like I could have done more justice to cooking more healthy food, for example, or exercising more. Something's got to, they're only 24 hours in a day. But
Do you ever walk, do yoga, or go to a gym?
Yes. So with COVID, I used to go to Bikram yoga. So I'm a big Bikram yoga fan, and I used to go to a boot camp too. So with COVID, all that all that took the back seat as with everyone else. So I tried online exercising and all that. Not as much these days. I need to get back to exercising, but I try to stay active, within the house, household chores and all that.
Yeah, I must compliment you on the way you have maintained yourself. So that's an added piece of benefit that I see in your work.
As you may have heard, in response to the public health hazard potentially posed by the high bacteria levels in our lagoon system, your City Council is weighing options available to address the goose population, including considering lethal alternatives. But despite what you may have heard elsewhere, I'm here to let you know that no decision on the issue has been made. The meeting will be a chance for residents and Foster City community members to share their thoughts in a public forum, and the City Council may also provide some policy direction on this critical issue.
What are the next steps, next big moves, or anything that you would like to project about your work as a mayor in Foster City, and how that would benefit the community at large?
Yeah, absolutely. So I already talked about public-private partnerships. There's a lot that we have left on the table that we can do, so I'll continue to advocate for that. Economic development is a big part of Foster City's success. We have had strong financial position, but with COVID, all the cities, all the agencies are impacted. So finding alternate revenue sources is a top priority, and I think getting those pieces right, getting a strong fiscal position. Our community has asked for a lot of vitality in the businesses that we have in Foster City. So working toward that continues to remain a focus. We've been trying to crack that nut for a really long time. So continue to work on that. I think will benefit the community.
And how does it align with the democratic policies, you being a hardcore Democrat?
So I can give you an example. We recently gave staff the direction to move forward on minimum wage in Foster City. We did not have an ordinance on minimum wage, and I supported that. If you look at all my positions, the votes I have casted, they are from the standpoint of benefiting every segment of our population. Like I said, all the age groups, all the demographics. I remain focused on that, but I also remain focused on municipal functions because local governance is politically agnostic. So it's non-partisan. So I focus on, like I said, serving the entire community, focusing on municipal function, which are unattractive parts of the real job is not as cool and as attractive, right? It's about making sure, there's water, making sure sewers are working, the infrastructure, the underlying infrastructure is right. We have a lagoon waterway system, so make sure that is clean and taken care of. So all the basic functions that are not noticeable when they are working fine, so you'll not get accolades when they're working fine, but just when you don't have water coming in the house or something is not working, that's when they get noticed. So the goal is for those things to never get noticed, never to have potholes. Streets are fine, there's cleanliness and things of that nature.
So you're trying to streamline and make everything so seamless and maybe never have any breakages. You don't want to do fixes because there will be no breakages. That's your target.
Plan ahead of time, right?
Plan.
So we turned 50 last year. Foster City is 50 years old, so we had a big 50-year celebration. But our infrastructure is also getting old. So another priority of mine is to focus on infrastructure, repairing ahead of time, planning the funds and the budget for it. City buildings are getting old, so how do we fund the repairs or replacement of those is going to be a key priority. In the middle of the challenges that we are dealing with post-pandemic, right? Every city is struggling with finances, increased labor costs, which is putting a lot of pressure on our budget.
That's wonderful. It was really nice interacting with you, Richa, and learning so much about Foster City, your great policies, your great work to benefit the community as a whole and also represent Indian Americans in a very big way, in a favorable way. You make us proud as an Indian American, and we truly appreciate you being incumbent in Foster City. Hope your work continues, your position continues, and you continue to do great work for everyone. Thank you for your time in speaking with Yo India TV.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. It's been a pleasure. It's great to know you and spend some time with you. And thank you so much for all the work that you're doing, raising awareness about electeds like us. Creating that awareness in the community is a great service. So thank you for doing what you are doing. So you're no less an achiever, which I learned today. So it's great to meet you, Jasleen.
Thank you so much.